Also joining us to discuss this latest development is Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, who is a former diplomat. Thank you, Ambassador Sachdev, for your time. I want to build on what Aditya said there in terms of the previous use and current use of Guantánamo Bay for housing some of America's largest prisoners in terms of terrorists and whistleblowers, etc. What message does this send out about his sort of potential disdain for immigrants using specifically Guantánamo Bay to hold up to 30,000 people? While we get Mahesh Sachdev's line sorted there,
I can hear you, but can you hear me?
Yes. Ambassador Sachdev, I just want to build on what our correspondent said there in terms of using Guantánamo Bay, which has housed some of America's most dangerous prisoners. The fact that migrants are now potentially going to be placed there, what message does that send from Donald Trump in regards to what he thinks about migrants?
I think it's a message with several components. Firstly, it drives on the campaign to show that Trump administration is extremely serious and bold-faced about this. They don't care about any other impediments or public opinion related issues, and they would do what they need to do against the illegal immigrants. Secondly, I think there is a message of deterrence. The new potential immigrants who still want to make it would have to think again. It's not going to be United States detention facility. It is going to be a detention facility well known and notorious for human rights abuses, etc., etc. So that would act as they would think, I imagine, would act as a deterrence. Thirdly, it will also send a message to Cuba, who Cubans believe that this whole thing about occupation, naval base at Guantánamo Bay is illegal. It'll reinforce Trump's profile against Cuba, built on Trump 0-1-10 earlier, and it'll also send a defiant message to the liberals at home in United States that this administration doesn't care about legal and other recourses.
Yes, sorry to interrupt, Ambassador Sachdev. I'd like to bring in our second guest, Sumit Peer, to discuss the legalities. Sumit Peer, a political commentator. Is this legal, firstly? Can Trump legally migrate 30,000 people to Cuba?
Josh, thanks very much for having me on your show. Always a pleasure. Look, if you look at the news, what we are discussing, there are two connotations of it. One is illegal migrants. Second is dangerous criminals as illegal migrants. I want you to quote President Donald John Trump when he said in one of the campaign there are around 70,000 military-aged men and women from China who have infiltrated US in the disguise of illegal migrants. There are some people from Russia who have infiltrated US in disguise as migrants, and there are also some people from Mexico who are also infiltrated as migrants. So this combination of 70,000 Chinese, a few thousand Russians, and few thousand Mexicans who have, and even some Cubans are there, who are basically criminals or military men or notorious gangsters who have infiltrated just as pretending to be a illegal immigrant. Now, when Trump talks about Guantánamo Bay, he's talking about those people. If you identify something within those set of people, because they are not normal illegals, they are not the people who are looking to go for a living there or have a better life in the United States of America. They have a nefarious intentions of bringing down America. For such kind of people, you will be sending them to the Guantánamo Bay. And look, Josh, there is one thing. If you they told us there are 18,000 Indians which are illegal. Our External Affairs Minister, Dr. Jaishankar, said immediately, we'll do the verification, we'll take them back. But look at the history of China. China never ever takes any Chinese back. They say, we don't know. I mean, we don't know them who they are. There are countries who will never ever take their immigrants back, and China is number one in them. And the biggest problem with the security of United States of America is today People's Republic of China. So when you are with a situation wherein even if you identify illegal and the country says, look, buddy, I'm not going to take it back, I don't know who he is, though they damn well know this, they are Chinese and they're sent there for a mission. For such people, you have to hold them long, you have to hold them indefinitely, or you have to keep them away from the normal society. So this is not for normal immigrants. This is for those immigrants which have those military backgrounds or who have those nefarious criminal backgrounds who are infiltrated in US under a very concerted vision and mission. Now, if you look at the US legal system, as per Patriot Act, and for the powers which are bestowed by the drop-down authority and all, these are the two powers which are with the President of the United States of America. Under these powers, and if it is, you can prove that these are dangerous people, nefarious people, criminals, PLA, that is Chinese army, I am moving them to Guantánamo Bay. That is possible, but a normal immigrant who has there come for just for a life and livelihood, you cannot move them to Guantánamo Bay. That is a thin distinction line, Joshua, between the two. We have to see how do the things fit in between the two. That's what my take on this is.
Yes, Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, I want to bring it back to the opinion within the United States. We've seen something similar to this in Europe recently. Giorgia Meloni in Italy has set up camps in Armenia. There was, of course, a lot of backlash within Italy. Do you think we might see something similar across the waters in America with public disdain for sending such a large amount of people, criminals or not, to Guantánamo Bay?
That's an interesting question, and I think you might also like to cite UK's decision to use Rwanda as a base for illegal African migrants. But if you delve into history, you would note that more than 1 million Japanese were interned on the mainland of the United States during the Second World War after Pearl Harbor. And their treatment was subject to much heartburning later on because this was pure racism. Japanese of American nationality were interned into camps which were very basic, and they were treated rather harshly. So there is a certain echo to it. And while I think the pendulum has shifted a bit towards the right in the United States in the last 10 days or so. But I imagine that eventually liberals are going to use all sort of subterfuge, filibuster in the Congress and other devices to try and soften this kind of immigration excess. But then we'll have to wait and see. The numbers are huge, as we are told that there might be up to 11 million illegal immigrants. And there are all sort of things to be said. But I would also like to add here that many of the employers, particularly in South, of the menial jobs, would miss not having illegal migrants, because they were cannon fodder as far as low-cost labor was concerned. And I think now that Trump wants America great again, and manufacturing hub, etc., the workers would be needed. America does have a serious situation with regard to low unemployment, and thanks to the economy doing well, this may prove to be an undoing of America by hitting a self-goal eventually on the economy.